Hello friends, welcome back to DevOps Titan. I'm your friend Santosh and today we are going to discuss question number 14 in the series of DO280 280 exam. This is for OpenShift Administrator level 2. Uh, so we have a question that as part of question 14, deploy application in project Rocket. There is one pod already running and the application should produce output. So in short, there is a project by name Rocket. In that project there is a pod which is in running state and application should produce output. So finally the goal is whatever application which is deployed, that application should produce output in the browser. So first thing is, let's go to that project, OC project Rocket, OC get all. And okay, so here pod is in the pending state, it's not in the running state, and there is a route. Definitely this route will not show any output because the pod is not running, right? So let's try to see the pod. Let's try to see the route, what output we are getting right now. It says, okay, maybe some browser or cache issues. So always in exam, try to close the browser completely and reopen the page. And to open the browser, click on activity and then the browser. Okay, so the application is not available. That is obvious because pod is not in the running state. And till now we have solved 1 to 13 question. Our approach is very standard, very simple. First thing, if the pod is not in the running state, check the log for the pod. So copy the pod name and OC logs and the pod name. Okay, so right now the pod is not having any output to show. Usually what happens when a pod comes up, and there are many reasons why pod can go in the pending state. One, pod tried to get initialized and it didn't find matching CPU or the required number of CPU or required number of memory or some other issues. The image which it is trying to find, it's not finding the image, maybe incorrect image information or anything. Pod can go in pending state for many reasons. So the best way to know it, check the logs. But there can be a situation when there is no log, and this can be possible only in two conditions. There could be many conditions, but I know most of the cases there can be two conditions. One, there are no node ready to accept the pod. Okay, and in what case that can happen? If there is a taint applied on some kind of taint and the node pod is not having toleration for that. So first check that applied, is there any taint applied on the node? If the taint is applied, then either you remove that taint from the node or you apply toleration on the pod. Okay, so this is the first case. Second situation can be, okay, the node is okay, node is not having any taint, node is ready to accept the request, then why pod is not selecting that node? This could be possible if the pod has some kind of selector defined in that it will only select those node where its selector has a matching value. So let's see both the cases which comes true in this case. So first thing, we'll check the node, whether the node is having any taint or not. Is there any node ready to accept the load? So OC describe nodes. So it will print the status of node and all the taint, all information for each node it will print. We don't want too many information. We are concerned about the taint, right? So we'll just grep the taint hyphen I, so that even if the T is in caps or T is in small, does not matter, and find the output. So it is trying to describe each node and it is trying to grep word 10. So see here, the T is in caps and I wrote in small, doesn't matter since I was defined here, input type. So here the first two nodes are having no execute. That means there if we have this kind of taint, that means no pod will execute on those nodes. So out of three, two nodes are not accepting any pod, so they have no execute. They cannot execute any pod, they cannot run any, they cannot host any pod on it. Okay, the third node has no taint. That means the node is available to take the load. So ideally, if the node is available, any one node, the pod should get and sit on that. Okay, so that means why the pod is not selecting that node. To find out this, we need to now understand and analyze the YAML file for the deployment. Okay, so is there any specific reason why pod is not selecting it? So let's go and try to see the deployment YAML file. And how to do that? OC edit, and if we give the deployment YAML file, okay, it will show all the complete YAML file here. And we are interested to know the node selector, because the pod is not selecting the node. So is there any node selector defined? Once again, this is stuck. Let me refresh it. Okay, it's not coming. Close it. And okay, so let's go back to under template. Under template there will be spec, and under spec there will be node selector defined if there is any node selector. So let's go back. Yes, there is a node selector, and if this is defined in the deployment file, then this deployment will host its pod only to those nodes where there is a label app equal to prod set. Okay, so this deployment will select only those nodes where there is a label app equal to prod. So we know out of three nodes, only one node is ready to accept the load. So what is our next course of action? That we will go and see what level is defined on that node. If app equal to prod is missing, then we will add that level. If app equal to something else is defined, then we'll overwrite that level and we'll overwrite with the correct value. Okay, so we know that app equal to prod, the deployment is looking for app equal to prod level. So we'll see what level is there on master node 3. So OC get nodes, and let's print all. So hyphen show levels. Okay, so it will show the level of all the nodes. We are not concerned about 1 and 2. Let's see for the master 3, and these are the levels. Okay, these all are levels on that master node 3. And if you notice, there is a label app equal to dev, but the deployment file has app equal to prod defined. That means whatever the level which application is looking for is missing on this node. We don't have app equal to prod defined here. So what can we do? There can be many possible reasons. Either we can remove this level app equal to dev and then add the level app equal to prod. We can add the level, right? Delete the existing one, add it, or we can overwrite. So instead of deleting and recreating, we can overwrite. How to do that? OC level node nodes, and we are doing master 3, and we'll do app equal to prod and overwrite. Okay, let's do this and check the level now. OC get nodes and show the level. Now if we see, the level has changed. It has override the old value with the new value which I gave. Now let's see the pod status. OC get pods. Oh sorry. OC get pods. And the pod has come up. Now let's go back to the application and try to access. Oh, it is still not accessible. Okay, no issues. We'll see what other things are wrong. So let's clear the screen. OC get all. So what has been our approach till now? First level of troubleshooting is make sure your pod is up and running. That we have achieved. Next level of troubleshooting is make sure your service which you have in your project is having that endpoint. So service should have the endpoint. So let's try to describe and see if whether the service has endpoint. If the service has endpoint, then make sure the route has correct host name or route is using correct service. Okay, because it should have the correct service name. Let's see one by one. We'll try to describe the service first. OC describe and the service name. So if we see here, we see that endpoint is missing. There is no endpoint, and that was the reason, because in the browser our route is when we hit this URL in browser, it goes and calls to this IP address and on this port number. Okay, and then that request goes and try to find a target here. Okay, that request goes and try to find target here, but there is no target, so we get that page. There is no application deployed. Now why the target is missing here? What could be the reason? There is only one possible reason, that under the selector under service, which is app equal to do app, and under the template metadata, inside template there would be a metadata. In that metadata, the level which is defined for the deployment for the pods is not the same. So here the service is looking for a label under pods metadata, app equal to do app. So let's try to see once again. Edit the deployment, open the YAML file for deployment, and see what level is defined and where under template metadata. So under template, because there are two types of metadata here. If you see here, one metadata is on the top. This defines the level. If we can define level here also, this defines the level for deployment. We are not concerned about the levels, whatever is defined under deployment from service point of view. Service look for level which is inside template. Whatever level is defined here, the service tries to look for the matching level at this section under template metadata, because this label gets applied to the pod which gets created using this image. So whatever pod will get created using this image will have this label. Okay, so our pod is having this label to do apps, and we saw under service the label is to do app. Okay, so the S is missing over there. Now there could be two possible ways to solve it. Either we remove S from the deployment, or we add S in the service. So thumb rule or the best practice is, do not make changes in something which is already working. So our deployment is good, deployment is up and running, so let's not make change in the deployment. Okay, what is not working and what is not good at this moment? The service is not good, so let's make change in the service. OC edit and will edit the service. And what we have to edit in the service? We just need to add one S under selector, because the pod gets label app hyphen to do app apps. So okay, so now we have given and the service is updated. Now let's try to describe service once again. Okay, we see the service has endpoint. Now it's trying to find the matching app. The service is able to find pod which has this label. Okay, so now let's go back to the browser once again and try to refresh it, and you see the application is giving the output. So our question number 14 is done. That's what question was asking us to look for. So always, once again, I'm giving a recap. If pod is not up and running, try to explore the pod log. If there is no log under pod, that means either the node has taint or the selector defined in the pod is not having correct value. Okay, so hope you would have liked this video. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel if you have not subscribed, and click on the bell icon so that if whenever I am releasing next update on any other certifications or any automations or trying to discuss on any new ideas, then you will get notified and motivated. Thank you for your support. See you again for question number 15.